Hi, I'm Manny, and this is part two of electric cars. In part one, we covered the portable exchangeable packs and the momentum release flywheels. There were two other ideas that came through the automatic writing, and let's get right back to it. We're back to the vehicle, and again, it's a white late model four-door sedan. This time, the third idea was in the impression, the mental impression, the vision, if you will. There was a mesh that came down. Remember, we were in a like a large, clean warehouse looking at the vehicle. Now, this time, a mesh comes down and covers the vehicle completely. It was a netting, a mesh, a very fine spiderweb looking thing. And it was composed, and again, this is nanotechnology at its best. It was strings forming the spider web, and on the strings were photovoltaic cells about the size of the head of a nail, all strung together and folded, and it completely covered the car. And the idea is that, and again, with the best of nanotechnology, reduce the photovoltaic cell to the smallest size we can and string it together and then cover the entire surface of the car. In the exchange of mental impressions, I was going like, well, wait a minute, we don't all want to drive a car that looks like it's covered with a black spider web. I mean, we don't all want to be driving around in black Ladas. We still enjoy our different models and colors. But the writing, the impression, what they said was that no, the technology is, this spider web thing is so fine that it can be colored or molded in with the color and become part of the chassis, the color altogether. It may give it a slight metallic look to the color, but that we still have the choice of colors, and manufacturer can contour the car and shape it in any way they want to. But the idea was that by covering every bit of the surface, you would then create a leaf on four wheels. No offense to the manufacturer who uses leaf as one of their models. This is literally a leaf on four wheels. Wherever it goes, there is some surface exposed to light. The fourth and final concept that I was shown is this was a little more complex. But they and I had not read about it, and I never heard that we can do this, but they said that yes, that technology exists, and I'm going like, are you talking military or government secret kind of thing? But they seem to think that it already exists. What it amounted to was a device, a circular oval device, maybe like a big frisbee that would be on top of the car, and obviously you want to make, they showed oval and flat so as to reduce friction and drag and keep the airflow moving as smoothly as possible. In fact, it'd be no more of a intrusive object than, say, a sunroof nowadays would be, when we got plenty of those running around. The difference here is this circular device, large frisbee, small trash can lid, would be a receptor where you can shoot photons into it and it would accept it. It is used in tandem with a feeder gun. The feeder gun would look to me like a big electric drill, and as the vehicle moves under this thing, the feeder gun would give it a short burst of electricity. The device would then receive it and transmit it down to the battery, either main battery or auxiliary battery. The practical issues of it, they insist we have them, but we got to think in terms of cost and how do we meter this, who's shooting the electricity at the cars, and it would be by the same people that produce electricity now. Where do we put these things? Because they're animate, you don't need to build any new structure for these things. In fact, these feeder guns could fit on any traffic signals, stop signs, Cell towers, bridges, telephone poles, anywhere that there's an existing structure, this feeder gun could be put on it, and then as the vehicle could then have a much smaller battery to carry around, because wherever it goes, it can be fed electricity as it moves. And how do we meter it? Again, as the vehicle goes under and the short burst goes in, the device would each have an ID, much like all cars have a VIN number. So as it receives a shot of this electricity, it sends back the ID number, like, thank you, we got it, and gives it back the ID number, and that's how they measure it. So at the end of the month, when you get your electric bill, you'd have so many hours for the use of the home, and then feeder burst, 1,328 at a penny or two each, and then you pay your bill like you would your normal electric bill. That pretty much covers the 4 ideas they gave me on the electric cars. And before I leave, I wanted to share with you a little bit of the writing so that you get a feel and a flavor for how it is that I write these ideas and what the conversations look like. Again, somebody said, will you see these images? Because I explained in the first video that I saw the car and it was spinning. Do you actually see it? Well, you don't see it with your eyes. As I'm writing, it's like an image. It's a mental image, maybe like a lucid dream or something. But no, it's not with my eyes. I don't hear with my ears. I don't see with my eyes. These are just images that come. This piece of the conversation that I'm going to read to you happened during the short story set in North Carolina, where Eric, the main character, is talking to Gloof, the messenger, and they were discussing the use of mercury in their craft, and particularly how to use mercury, which is a topic for another, but just so you get a flavor for it, let me read this to you. Eric is speaking, and he says to Gloof, liquid mercury is highly toxic to humans, Gloof, heavy and scarce. Gloof answers, uranium and plutonium are highly radioactive, Eric, and you use it to power everything, including submarines that have hundreds of people. Learn how to use mercury and benefit. But Gloof, let me finish. It's metal, it's liquid. You can heat it, you can cool it, you can spin it, and its properties will reward you highly. But it's sound, Eric, sound waves in particular, that will protect and propel you. Maker has his favorite languages, if you will, languages that are universal. He loves numbers, geometry, and patterns, probably his favorite language, a subtle, universal concept. Don't dismiss the power of numbers. But sound waves in particular, are also high on his list. I mentioned it before, how the acoustic shield is used by us. It is in my suit and my craft and protects us all. You have to learn to use sound waves, how to compress them, how to overlay them over each other so that you can amplify or subdue them, and finally twist them so that they become more powerful. Numbers and sound notes are infinite, like Maker. Infinite? Eric goes, yes, what's the last number on a sequence? Gloof asked, but wouldn't let Eric answer. There isn't one. He laughed at his own joke. You can always add another digit to any sequence. It's the same with sound. You can always add another note to any musical score. Infinite. Oh, and so is the universe. Your species is bound and determined that the universe is finite, that it started with a Big Bang 18 billion years ago, and that it has a finite amount of matter in it. That's nonsense, Eric says. I thought that was pretty well established. Well, there you go, Gloof said sarcastically. No, you didn't think. You read or heard what others proposed and accepted it. If the universe is finite, how do they explain where it's expanding to? Where's it going? What happens when it gets there? What's on the other side? The theory, says Eric, is that it'll just continue outward until gravity pulls it back together and starts to contract and reforms into a singularity and explodes again. Gloof says, Eric, do you ever stop and think how silly that is? Eric grunted. No, Eric, there are many Big Bangs, many singularities. You humans are always one to confine Maker. How old is Maker? When will he die? Unwillingly, your collective minds want to have a beginning and an end, even though your own Bible, by far the best communication from Maker, his letter, if you will, tells you world without end. He was in the beginning and always will be. So is his universe. Don't limit your mind. There are many dimensions, many realms. Your spirit wants to take you there, but your mind won't let you. Thank you again for listening this far. To some of you that have question about whether it's a vision or a dream, or is it, look, if it helps somebody and points them in the right direction with one of these ideas, I'm delighted. If you don't believe that it can be anything done, just take it as science fiction. I had fun writing it. I have fun sharing it with you. The next video will be on the odd trajectory of flying objects around our atmosphere, and I had a lot of fun with that, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I leave you with love, light, and the best vibrations that you can reach for. Until the next one, thank you so much.